The movie centers around a team of scientists embarking on a 2-year mission to Mars with the goal of establishing sustainable life on the planet. The team, led by Commander Marina, includes biologist David, responsible for pioneering life-creating research, and Zoe, a medical researcher. As the spacecraft launches, the team braces themselves for the challenges ahead in their journey to Mars. The spacecraft is engineered to create a sense of Earth-like living conditions for the lengthy mission. It's equipped with everything the team needs, including exercise equipment to replicate life on Earth. As they settle into their new environment, the scientists begin to bond, sharing jokes and laughter, forging a closer relationship. However, their routine is abruptly disrupted when Marina hears unusual noises and opens an emergency panel. To her shock, she finds an unconscious man entangled inside. The man, covered in blood and appearing lifeless, is a startling discovery. Marina urgently calls for David and Zoe, who rush to assist. Zoe quickly assesses the man's condition, finding his heartbeat and realizing the need for immediate medical attention. They move him to another room where Zoe stitches up his wound. Upon examining his ID, Marina learns that the man is Michael, a launch support engineer from the same institution. This unexpected stowaway presents the crew's first significant challenge. The carbon dioxide scrubber, essential for purifying the air inside the ship, is damaged due to Michael's accidental intrusion, leading to a carbon dioxide leak. The crew now faces a dire situation, far from Earth, and with a critical life support system compromised. As they work to address this new problem, their mission to Mars takes on an unexpected turn, testing their scientific skills, resourcefulness, and teamwork. The presence of Michael, an unintended member of the mission, adds complexity to their journey and the tasks ahead, making their quest for sustainable life on Mars even more challenging. Commander Marina faces a critical situation aboard the spacecraft and takes decisive action. She instructs biologist David to open the emergency lithium hydroxide canisters, which are capable of scrubbing carbon dioxide, CO2, from the air, a vital measure given their damaged life support system. Meanwhile, Zoe, having finished treating the unexpected stowaway Michael, leaves him to rest and recover from his ordeal. About 12 hours into their journey from Earth, Michael regains consciousness, disoriented and traumatized by his accidental presence on the spacecraft. His calls for his sister and the resulting noise attract the attention of the other crew members, who rush to calm him down. Michael, realizing he is in space and unable to return to Earth, is overwhelmed by the situation. The crew informs him that they are already 12 hours into their mission, and he must remain on board for the 2-year journey to Mars. Michael reluctantly accepts his fate, grappling with the reality of being stranded in space and leaving his life behind. Later, as the 3 original crew members enjoy dinner, Michael joins them. Zoe kindly offers him some spaghetti, and Michael apologizes for the unintended trouble he has caused. Determined to contribute, he expresses his willingness to work and assist with any tasks during the mission. Embracing his new role, Michael begins to integrate with the crew, receiving training in various aspects of their mission. This provides an opportunity for the crew to share their workload with him. Meanwhile, Zoe, while working in one of the spacecraft's quarters, notices an anomaly with the engine. She ventures outside in her spacesuit to investigate further, with Marina keeping watch from inside the ship. Zoe discovers a malfunction and takes pictures to communicate the issue to Marina. Marina, in turn, contacts the Central Control Unit for guidance. The situation worsens as they learn that the emergency lithium hydroxide canisters are insufficient to handle the extra CO2 load caused by Michael's unexpected presence. They need to find an alternative solution to generate enough oxygen to counteract the excess CO2. In response to this dilemma, Marina suggests to David that he cultivate his algae aboard the spacecraft, a project initially intended for Mars. She instructs him to call Michael to assist Zoe, but advises him to withhold the full extent of their situation for the time being. Soon after, David follows Commander Marina's instructions and begins to cultivate his algae aboard the spacecraft. He reserves a portion of the algae for his planned research on Mars, hoping to still conduct his experiment upon arrival. The situation aboard the spacecraft is tense as the crew grapples with the reality of their dwindling oxygen supply. David conducts an experiment to determine how much oxygen the algae can produce. Unfortunately, only half of the algae survives, yielding just enough oxygen to support 3 people. With 4 crew members on board, including the unexpected stowaway Michael, this presents a dire problem. Without an additional source of oxygen, they will all suffocate weeks before they can reach Mars. A heated discussion ensues between Marina and David. Marina urges David to use all his algae in a bid to increase their oxygen supply. David, however, is reluctant. He argues that even if he cultivates all the algae, it will still not produce enough oxygen for all 4 of them. Moreover, he is determined to preserve some algae for his Mars research. Realizing the gravity gravity of their situation, David and Marina inform Zoe about the critical oxygen shortage. Zoe is shocked and devastated by the news, particularly by the implication that they must choose who among them will not survive the journey. The logical but heartbreaking conclusion is that Michael the Stowaway should be the one to sacrifice his life, as the original crew members possess the technical knowledge essential for the mission's continuation. Zoe, deeply troubled by this decision, demands to know how much time they have before it becomes critical. Marina calculates that they have about 20 days, but due to potential errors and the need for safety margins, this time frame is effectively reduced to just 10 days. In a moment of moral conflict, Zoe pleads with the others to find an alternative solution within these 10 days, insisting that Michael should not be informed of their dire situation. She then leaves the group, grappling with the ethical dilemma they face. This intense moment underscores the harsh realities of space travel and the difficult decisions that sometimes have to be made in life or death situations. The crew is left with a ticking clock, a limited oxygen supply, and a moral quandary that challenges their humanity. Zoe, while working with Michael on some tasks, takes the opportunity to ask him about his family. Michael reveals a tragic backstory. He is the sole caretaker for his younger sister after their father died in a fire, trying to save them when they were young. This revelation deeply saddens Zoe, who looks at Michael with a newfound sense of empathy, especially considering the difficult decision discussed earlier by the crew. Commander Marina, desperate to find a solution that saves all 4 passengers, contacts Mission Control. They suggest a risky, untested plan to venture outside the ship, climb the tethers, and retrieve liquid oxygen from the spent upper stage rocket. However, the crew, including Marina and David, deems the plan too dangerous to pursue. Resigned to the dire situation, Marina and David begin to accept the likelihood of sacrificing Michael for the survival of the rest. In an emotional moment, David approaches Michael under the guise of wanting to talk. He informs Michael about their oxygen situation, and with heavy regret, offers him a painless way to end his life using an injection. Michael, overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, retreats to the bathroom with the medicine, contemplating his fate. However, before he can act, Zoe discovers him and intervenes, persuading him not to give up hope. She shares her personal experience of nearly drowning while attempting a rescue at sea and how she was ultimately saved. This story of survival and resilience resonates with Michael, who agrees to hold on for the remaining 10 days, hoping for a miracle. Zoe, infuriated by David's attempt to persuade Michael to end his life, confronts him. David defends his actions, emphasizing the sacrifices he has made, including abandoning his life's work. Zoe, determined to find another way, decides that she and David will attempt the dangerous mission to retrieve the oxygen, despite the risks. Preparations begin for the oxygen retrieval mission. Zoe starts training Michael to climb the tether, a task he finds challenging due to his lack of experience as an astronaut. During their training, Michael and Zoe encounter Marina and David, who wear solemn expressions, signaling the gravity of their situation. It becomes clear that only 2 people can survive with the current oxygen supply. David steps forward, volunteering to accompany Zoe on the perilous mission to fetch the oxygen. As Zoe and David don their spacesuits, they embark on the risky endeavor to climb the tether and retrieve the much-needed oxygen. This critical moment highlights the characters' bravery and determination to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, showcasing the human spirit's resilience in the face of adversity. In the 2021 movie Stowaway, Zoe and David embark on a critical mission to climb the spacecraft's tether to retrieve additional oxygen, a task vital for their survival. They begin their ascent, battling against the intense pressure that pushes against them. As they reach the midpoint of the tether, they find the conditions slightly more manageable, but the challenge is far from over. Their journey upwards requires extreme caution, especially as they navigate past the spacecraft's solar panels. These panels are crucial, providing all the energy to the spaceship, and any contact with them could be disastrous. With careful maneuvering, they manage to pass by the solar panels without incident. Upon reaching their destination, they find themselves tasked with rigging 2 solutions to fill 2 oxygen cylinders, enough to support 2 additional passengers on their journey to Mars. Zoe descends to open the jar, as David hands her the first cylinder to fill. After she fills it, David pulls it up and gives her the second cylinder. However, as Zoe works on filling the second cylinder, a sudden and deadly threat emerges, a high-energy solar flare, known as a coronal mass ejection. David urgently instructs Zoe to abandon the task and climb back up, warning her of the imminent radiation exposure. With no other option, Zoe leaves 1 cylinder behind, inadvertently leaving the jar open in her haste, causing the precious oxygen to leak out. The situation becomes more desperate as they make their way back over the tether. Midway through their return, Zoe, moving quickly and gasping for breath, accidentally loses the cylinder of oxygen they managed to secure. When David reaches her, she breaks down, sobbing with hopelessness. As she she informs him of the lost cylinder. Back inside the ship, near the entrance, the crew sits in a somber mood, grappling with their dire situation and the missed opportunity to secure enough oxygen for their survival. The loss of the oxygen cylinder represents a significant setback, leaving them to face the harsh reality of their circumstances and the difficult choices that lie ahead. After their failed attempt to retrieve oxygen, the crew faces a dire situation. They realize that the large oxygen tank continues to leak due to the makeshift connection they had established. A difficult decision looms. One crew member must expose themselves to deadly radiation to retrieve the oxygen cylinder left behind, thereby ensuring the survival of the other three. This realization brings a wave of grief and desperation among the crew. Commander Marina, overwhelmed with emotion, acknowledges that she cannot volunteer for this sacrificial task as her skills are crucial for piloting and controlling the ship. The rest of the crew, including David, Zoe, and Michael, each offers to make the ultimate sacrifice. However, Michael is quickly ruled out as he lacks training and knowledge of the climbing equipment, as well as the technical know-how to execute the mission. The responsibility then falls on either David or Zoe. After much deliberation, Zoe bravely steps forward to undertake the risky task. She reasons that David has a family waiting for him on Earth, and as the youngest and without familial obligations, she feels it's her duty to make this sacrifice for the group. Zoe dons her spacesuit once more and sets out to repeat the dangerous climb. With determination and courage, she successfully fills the oxygen cylinder and manages to return to the spacecraft, narrowly avoiding lethal radiation exposure. However, even with Zoe's heroic efforts, the harsh reality remains that there is only enough oxygen to sustain 3 of the 4 crew members. The movie concludes with Zoe accepting her fate. In her final moments, she sits outside the ship, gazing contemplatively at the distant round planet Mars, surrounded by stars. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.